Screw it, we'll do it live. Welcome, let's do the show. Hello, and everyone. Welcome to the Coming of Shadows, the Babylon 5 retrospective. This week on the show, we're looking at season 2, episode 15. And now for a word. That's the name of the episode. But before we get to the show, I have to welcome my co-host, my pouch brother. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Yes. Yeah. Do we have anything to jump into, Cam? Do we have any administrative stuff?
I noticed that we're back up to 627 subscribers.
627. Oh my goodness.
Or I should say you are. This is not my channel.
Yes. Let's put that up there. Oh, our sub count. Yes. Help us reach 700. Tell your friends. Subscribe to the show. It's the best show on YouTube. Ask my mom. She tells me that all the time. Her favorite show. Yeah. Okay. Other than that, I guess not. I mean, we appreciate everyone liking and subscribing. It really helps out the show, gets us out there visible. We're trying to get a little more visible. I think we got a good show. I mean, if we don't, I blame the chat. It's the audience's fault. Always blame the viewer, right? That's how it works. It works out for Disney and everybody. If they don't like the show, blame the viewer. They're not sophisticated enough to enjoy it. All right,
they're always right unless they're not.
Unless they're wrong, yes. Okay, of course. Good. All right. So before we get into it, we should bring in our panelists for today. Now, of course, we have our regular panelist, Jeff. Jeff, welcome.
Hello.
Jason's not going to be here tonight.
Slacking again.
Very busy. He's having a tough couple months there with stuff going on, working and everything. So, can't be here for everything. But we do have a guest panelist. You've seen him before. He brings a little bit of class to the show because of his British accent. We need to class the place up. And it's Dean. Welcome, Dean.
Hiya, Snob. Thanks for the welcome.
All right, good to see you. Glad to have you here. And listen, if you want to take Dean's place, what we do on the show is, if you are a regular, a chat, you're in the chat, whatever, you enjoy the show, just hit me up or Cam and say, hey, this episode coming up, I really like this episode. I would like to be on the show for that episode. And we'll say, yeah, probably. That's how Dean got on. That's how we do it. We have the occasional guest panelist. We like to switch it up a little bit. So yeah, go ahead. And the only thing you have to do to be on the show is you've got to know how to talk and have a microphone. That's the only requirement. You don't have to show your face. You can even use a voice changer if you want. Cam does all the time. Cam is actually a girl. If you didn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do that. Whatever, that's fine. Okay.
I do want to say something. We need to give credit to Dean because he just by being here at this time, puts in more effort than any of the rest of us.
How is that?
That's for sure.
Why do you say that?
This is a tall order
How is
to
that?
time difference.
What time is it in where you are, Dean?
It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
4 o'clock.
It's dark outside. Winter is on its way.
Wow, how it's totally dedicated. Right on. All right, awesome. All right, who do we have in the chat before we get the show started? Before we get on to the last week's, we've got Madman's in the chat, and he sent me something secret tonight. I have it prepped and ready to go. I think I'll just put it out at a proper time. So Madman's here. Who else do we have? Jeanette Buffington. I wonder who that is. She's in the chat. We appreciate you being here and showing us support. Dave's in the chat. Good to see you, Dave. Umbras. You have to go.
Probably gone.
Snob and Co have gone live. Does that mean you're still here, or you had to leave? Oh, you probably just stepped in.
Found out that just some guy named Snob and Company just went live, so
someone else
he had to bail on us.
Pretending to be me. I hate those people. Weatherman's here, our most loyal viewer. Good to see you, Weatherman. Appreciate you coming by. And that's all I see. It looks like we have what? It says we got 9. There's some people probably hiding in the chat. That's fine. Hey, you don't have to. You can be a ninja watcher. Just keep a low profile. That's no problem. All right. Let's jump right into it. We've wasted enough time, I think, giving people a chance to show up. Let's look at the trivia for last week. Just get this.
You mean I gotta turn back the page?
What?
What?
All right, here we go. This should be it here. All right. So last week's trivia questions from There All the Honor Lies was question 1. Welcome to Babylon 5, the last best hope for a something. Who said that? The souvenir shop is selling masks of different aliens. What alien is wearing a human mask? It's the most obvious one. Who experiences their first hangover? What is the name of the lawyer sent to help Sheridan? That's a tough one. You might not have caught that one. And who said the Minbari don't lie? Oh, never mind. Good day. That is a pretty, I think we covered most of them, but here are the answers for you, of course. The last best hope for a quick buck is the Babylon 5. They're making a joke about the souvenir shop. And of course, the alien wearing a human mask is our favorite aliens, the Drazi.
Of course, the Drazi is wearing a human mask, and a human's wearing a Drazi mask.
Of course.
Just to be funny.
Yeah. And of course, Veer experiences for his first hangover. The name of the lawyer sent to help Sheridan is Guinevere Corey. And who is Guinevere again? Anybody want to? The actress playing her is
she plays Natoth, right?
She played the first Natoth, right? Like the main one from season 1, the one that I like. I thought they did a really great job. And who says the Minbari don't lie? Oh, never mind. Good day, Londo, because he knows.
Yes,
he knows they lie. Oh yeah. All right, those are the Twitter questions. Oh, PB's in the chat too. Welcome, PB. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah. All right. That is the trivia questions and answers from last week. Yeah. All right. I think we can did I miss anything? Let's just jump right into the show. Cam, you want to do the episode summary, and I will do the detailed summary. I'll try to make it nice and quick. I think it'll be a little easier, a little faster this time.
All right.
Go ahead, Cam.
Sure. It's episode 37 overall, season 2, episode 15. And now for a word, written by J. Michael Straczynski. Original air date May 3rd, 1995, and it's production order 214. So very close to, the episode order. An ISN news crew spends 36 hours on Babylon 5 to film a documentary capturing a snapshot of life on the station as well as progress of the Narn Centauri War.
All right. Right on. Okay, so a little more detail on the episode. I'll try to go through this quick. And now from a word, the episode, of course, it starts as a fake news program, like some sort of documentary on CNN or something like that. It starts right out off the bat with the crew arriving on a ship, the news crew, and a Narn shoots a Centauri transport and it explodes. So right off the bat, we've got quite an exciting little something going on. It cuts there. The whole show is from the view of the news crews. It then cuts there right to triage on the station. Dr. Franklin is running around, going crazy. The news crew's getting in the way, of course. Sheridan comes by and they're trying to get him to make a statement. He's like, "Yeah, no, we're looking into things. Leave me alone." Then it cuts to an interview with Londo and Jakar. One with Londo and then one with Jakar. And of course, they're speaking about the incident. Londo is blaming the Narns, taking it pretty relaxed, but it's suggesting that they're the aggressors and they're the bad guys, being very diplomatic. Jakar is, of course, getting all heated and a little bit hot under the collar and being a little more emotional about it all. They also then go and interview Sheridan and Franklin. Those fairly basic interviews, but we find a little bit about in background in Franklin's interview, a little bit about a buddy that was killed in a airlock. So that's a little bit of information about him. We have then we go to the Narn making a statement saying that the Centauri ships were carrying weapons, so that's the reporter. The statement is made. The reporter reports on it. We have more about. We have various interviews with the senator. It talks about how the Babylon 5 funding is at risk. The reporter mentions that as sort of background. We see a senator, which I don't think we've seen before, and he's talking about, should Babylon
Senator
5 still be there?
spineless.
Yeah, and and then Sheridan, of course, is they ask him questions about that. They talk a bit about humans' readiness for war, that kind of thing. Then we see a little more. It's kind of a bit of a background of the station personnel. We have Ivanova and Garibaldi interviewed in succession. We find a little bit about their characters and their background, less so with Ivanova because she's kind of a little secretive of herself. They attempt to get Kosh an interview, but they just catch a glimpse of him and he disappears into the elevator. There is a fairly long interview with Delin. We learn a fair amount about the Minbari and the homeworld. Fairly emotional.
Seventh rock from the sun.
Yeah. So that's a bit of a character we see from learn a bit about more about the Minbari and a little bit of her character. Next, they cut back to some of the more the more political aspects. So we have the council meeting. Jakar is very angry. He's yelling. He's accusing the Centauri. They'll try to do this to you. He wants to seize all the
BMDs.
They want to seize all the Centauri transports. Oh, sorry, I missed something. I missed the fact that earlier on there was the Babylon 5 did an investigation. They found that there were traces of radiation and stuff, which may indicate some weapons of mass destruction. So Jakar wants to have all of the Centauri transports seized. Just as this council meeting is underway, shooting breaks out outside Babylon 5, and the Narn and Centauri are shooting at each other in spaceships. Sheridan launches the fighter craft on Babylon 5. He threatens them and says, "Hey, stop shooting, or else I'll fire on you." Of course, I think it's the Centauri say, "If you shoot on us, it'll be war," or something like that. And Sheridan says, "They're bluffing," and he starts shooting both the Narn and the Centauri out of the sky. They quickly surrender and stop shooting and give up. We then go to a interview by Jakar from the reporter. A lot of background about him. And then also another that's juxtaposed with the interview of Londo, which is very background, and that focuses more on the Centauri on Narn, how they were. About this time, getting close to the end of the episode, a Centauri battle cruiser appears and basically says that we're going to blockade B5. Londo calls, Sheridan says, B5 is under blockade. Give us our transports. Don't inspect them. Otherwise, we'll fire on you. About that time, there's some negotiations. Sheridan's talking to Earth. There's some negotiations going on. Earth sends them a message, decides decides to take a stand against the Centauri battlecruiser and the threat. They say that if you shoot any transports, you'll be at war with Earth. And Sheridan thinks this, they're not going to do it. They're not going to risk it. They send out a transport. The Centauri do not fire on the transport. And as it goes through the wormhole, a Narn cruiser appears and starts shooting the Centauri battlecruiser. The Narn eventually are successful. They blow up the Centauri cruiser, but they're damaged. They try to warp away, and then they blow up. And then that's pretty much the end of the episode. There's some final thoughts by the reporter. The reporter gives generally a positive view of Babylon 5 and saying that it's a good thing, when initially at the beginning of the report she was all very skeptical. They speak to all the mains on the show asking if you think Babylon 5 is good and is it worth it, and everybody basically says it's worth it, except for Jakar is a little bit iffy on it. And that's pretty much the episode.
Sure.
Anything you guys want to add to that before we talk specifically?
No, I think
I'll just mention, usually we go over what we think the A and B plots are, or A and whatever. This one seems to be,
go ahead.
from my perspective, A and many threads that make up A. It does go into things, but none of them are like main other storylines. They all weave into the one, as far as I can recall.
Yeah, I figured I saw it just as an A plot. It's about the war, and it's just all the people are
I think this is the most upfront action that we've really seen back and forth. Like throughout the whole episode, there was stuff going on. Previously, we've seen a couple of things maybe at the beginning of the show, or but this was a battle cruiser on battle cruiser or whatever.
Well, it was a cruiser and a battle cruiser, so you'd think the cruiser would get its butt kicked, but apparently not.
Yeah, we do also get a specific date for this one. They mentioned September 16th, 2259.
Yes.
Which is nice. They do that every once in a while, so you can kind of see the time span between episodes at least. I think the show adheres to the 1 year per season thing pretty well. But seeing where we are in the year is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Just a few notes at the beginning. Did you also notice that Interplanetary Expeditions was the sponsor of the show?
Yes, I did. That's on my list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they sponsored by IPX.
I forget. I think they've been mentioned in several episodes in the first season.
Well, weren't they the ones that tried to hire
Catherine?
Psychor, and then and Catherine, you're right. First,
they were also mentioned in, I think it was Quarantine, where the archaeologists came back with,
right.
And at that point, they couldn't find any information on the IPX. So they must have come public, done a bit of PR work, a social media campaign or something.
They're advertising.
Yeah.
I also noticed that it said that it was hypertext captioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Clearly the early era of the internet where everybody was talking about hypertext.
Right. If I can, I'd like to just kind of talk about the format of the episode, and then we can get into whatever you guys want.
Okay.
Obviously this is usually we're seeing everything from kind of a third person semi-omniscient or limited omniscient view, and this one is a little different in that I guess we would call it second person, because you're seeing everything from the news crew perspective, right. And so we aren't getting as much. Usually we see two characters or whatever having a discussion and get the whole thing, whereas this one we're not. We're getting it kind of from the outsider view. Which I think is interesting because and we could talk about all these things. It leads to their public face kind of thing, like especially with Londo and Jakar and Sheridan, making these public statements and things. So I think it's actually a very, it's not the only show that's ever done this, obviously, but it is interesting, and it gives us a little bit of different perspective, kind of from the position of the public, which we usually have the insider view. So I just wanted to kind of mention that to begin with.
Yeah, you can kind of sit at the back and just sort of look at this and say, hey, if I was on Earth watching this, and hey, how's it going up there? And you know,
right?
It's kind of yeah, exactly. It's what they're, we are sitting on Earth watching a program, and yeah.
Sorry, just one more thing, and this is something that I think Straczynski kind of is very keenly aware of. This sort of thing comes up at several other times in the episode where you've got this external view of things, including one very late episode, which is Dean. You've seen this, so you probably know which one I'm talking about. It's a kind of a very meaningful thing, meaningful episode that kind of brings the whole theory of the show into perspective. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say that when I first saw this episode, I was a little bit skeptical. I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be a bit of a bit of a gimmick. Will it be any good? I thought it would be, perhaps would be one of the lower rated episodes of the season. But overall, I thought it was pretty well done. We got. I've been complaining in the past. Some of the past episodes where there's a big war going on and we don't hear about it. And I would have.
We heard about it.
If I had been writing the show, I would probably have put in a little bit every episode just to remind you that there's a war going on. Either whether it's seeing bodies or a casualty list or even something small. But this is a huge. It's the whole episode. It's all about the war. So this kind of
it's the backdrop of the whole episode.
Yeah, makes up for it. It puts it back in your mind and maybe hopefully it keeps you there for the next couple episodes.
Apparently there are cameras on Babylon 5. They're just all outside.
Yeah.
Right. We discovered that, and they can easily patch into them.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of amused me when I'm like, oh, and also. We've obtained special permission to be on the CNC.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was due to people commenting on season 1 when it's like, why is there yet another person that doesn't belong on the CNC? Where's security?
Right.
All right. Where do we want to start talking?
Maybe we should start by talking about this overt background, and that is the Narn, the details of the accusations going on and why the conflict is happening. Anybody want to delve into that?
How about our guest?
Yeah, Dean. Sure, you start. Kick it off.
Okay. Just collecting my thoughts here. So we're talking about the kind of the war between the Narns and the Centari.
Right.
And how it becomes really front and center in this episode. I love this episode because it really shows the human cost, the life cost of this war. And when you've watched season 1, the Narn are the aggressors. Season 2, they then both go to war. But this is the first episode where you see the Narn are actually really losing, and they're losing. The docks are full of. I think I might be thinking of the next episode actually, so I'm going to not say anything there. But you're beginning to get a picture of this war between the Narn and the Centari, and how it's now spilling out beyond their borders into neutral territory.
Right.
I love the coming in shot where you've got the crew on board their ship, their transport, and actually filming out and showing these two ships. And the one thing that I think Babylon 5 gets really well is the perspective, the size difference between ships in space. And you've now got this huge, you've got this battle going on, two ships, one shooting at the other one. And then you've got space debris flying everywhere. I think that's a great way to kick off the episode. And it really brings two of the main characters into perspective for this. And I love how Jakar is developed further. And you can see him beginning to descend into this malaise of despair because things aren't going well. He's not the Jakar in season 1 that was, had an incredible presence within the council chamber, and he's beginning to lose himself. And now you're seeing Londo. Oh, he's just going from strength to strength. He's demanding. He's you know, he's as a character, you can see how the power is just going straight to his head. And
well,
yeah,
good, excellent point. He's also very adept, though, at when he's giving his public statements and things. He's on message. He's putting out credible sounding, statements and things like that.
I mean, I didn't find that it was going to his head so much. I didn't see that so much, but he definitely was calm, relaxed, confident, as Cam said, putting out on message. While Jakar is, getting emotional, he's upset all the time. He's like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'll get back to you, and whatever. He's
Dean mentioned he's back on his heels, a bit.
Yeah, for sure. You see that in the episode completely. Like, just from the way that those characters act. Oh, well, to be honest, I mean, in the episode, the Narn take out the battle cruiser, right? So they technically, win they blow up afterwards, but they technically win the engagement, so to speak. But but in the end, that's the only thing you could say that maybe was a neutral or something. But the way we know that the Narn are actually losing the war in big time is the actions primarily from the way Londo acts and the way Jakar acts. We know
they say there was 400 souls lost or something like that.
Yeah.
On that,
Yeah, and the Narn attack was also very desperate feeling. It was like they didn't have, it wasn't an ideal thing to do, right? It's because Londo was actually caught out in a lie. It's like, oh no, there's nothing here. And then it's like, oh, it is here. And he's like, it doesn't matter. We're not breaking the rules because we're not doing it on the station, So it's like he immediately shifted from, oh, here's this, our one statement to, well, we're still not doing anything wrong, kind of thing. And maybe technically he's right. It's like
all the transfers are happening in neutral space and not on board the station and blah, blah, blah.
And that brings up a question on how far the jurisdiction goes of Babylon 5. Do they have airspace around it?
One inch around the station.
Space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would. I'm sure, if you had a space station like that, you would claim a certain amount of airspace around that.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, who knows how much that would be.
I'm surprised we didn't see, the Agamemnon phenomenon chip pop in there. Yeah.
Well,
I try to pronounce it.
It's kind of weird because, if you're the Centauri, you could just go around the other side of the planet or something and just do your exchange there.
I was going to say the same thing. It's like, why are they coming here? It's a Centauri to Centauri exchange. And it's like, why do they have to do it at Babylon 5?
I'd see why they want to do it nearby because maybe, the ship's going to come in. They're going to do the exchange. It might be low on fuel or something and need to refuel or
maybe
replenish or something. But it wouldn't matter if it was on the other side. Babylon 5 is going around that planet. You do it on the other side of the planet. That's, technically that's, nothing in the scale of the galaxy. So why not? Why you don't need to do it right beside the place.
Although you never know, there is a Minbari on that planet.
I think one of the reasons they're probably doing the transfer right by Babylon 5 is because if the Narns got wind that they were doing this transfer the other side of Epsilon 5, Epsilon 4, if they heard,
I think it's 4, but
I think it is 4. If they heard that they were doing it on the other side of the planet, then they could send it. They could send a cruiser in and destroy it.
Yeah, but good point. They're using Babylon 5 as a shield, kind of.
Absolutely, yeah.
Literal human shields. Well, not just humans, but multiple species.
It doesn't work as we see in the beginning of the episode because the Narns have obviously been frustrated and they blast them anyway, even though it's right beside the station.
Which
that could be
caused some damage.
Too.
There was 2 decks that were damaged, and
if they shoot the ship nearby, the Centauri can claim to be the victim. Look, they're trying to damage Babylon 5. There could be political reasons for that too.
Yeah.
I kind of questioned where Londo was part of the time during this episode because of the way. I'm like, is he on board the station or not?
He was on his couch. He was just relaxing, having a
right. But he's like, threatening the station. Dude, you're on the station, and I know
I
how
wondered about that
Londo
too.
is.
He threatened to it. They threatened to attack any ships approaching the station.
Yeah.
That
Up
was
to and including the station,
And
though, as I
including the
recall.
yeah.
station.
I guess he
Yeah.
did say later that would be if they were escalated into
Yeah.
it, because he said we'll
If
use
you-
minimal force,
If
but
you
we will
search
use
any ships or whatever, yeah. and it's-
right.
Yeah.
So I
This-
mean,
yeah.
go ahead, Dean.
This is why I said I think the power was going to his head, because at the end, when he gives that big, broad statement about Babylon 5 being blockaded and how, yes, they will even attack Babylon 5, and he's on board Babylon 5. And I'm just there thinking, if they destroyed the space station, which they likely wouldn't, you're at risk as well.
Yeah.
That was my question. Was he really on Babylon 5 at that time? Like
that was the one question I had. I was like,
close, and it was kind of, you weren't sure where he was.
Yeah.
You see, Dean says the power is going to his head, which I can agree with.
Yeah.
But to me, Londo seems the way I would put it is he's unleashed. It's like he is acting with complete impunity. It's like he is speaking for his government with, he's like the leader at this point, right? And in fact, we haven't even heard from the new emperor yet. So Londo is a leading voice, and he's calling the shots, it seems, and acting extremely boldly.
I kind of assumed that he was talking to his government, but there's no evidence that he was, right? And which makes me think that he was making it up on his own. Meanwhile, Jakar, like, there's one part where the reporter asks him, blah, 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 and he says, I'm consulting with my government, I'll get back to you, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of implies.
And of course, the reporter kind of goes after him on it, so are you saying blah, blah, blah? And it's like, no, okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you get the definite feeling like Straczynski wasn't a big fan of the media at all.
Yeah.
We've seen that a bunch of times with the media doing their investigative reports and stuff. It was cute. That was called 36 hours.
Yeah.
I think is what the name of it was. That which
like
I don't
60
know,
minutes,
or like 48 hours.
48 hours, yeah, sure.
Was really big at the time here in the States. So,
there was one thing that I wanted to mention that I thought was really well played, and again from the perspective of like we're seeing it from the public, is Jakar gave his side of the story basically about how they were a peaceful agrarian society, and the Centauri came in and committed all these atrocities against them, right? And then we see Londo talking to the reporter, and he talks about how they were a primitive culture, and we gave them all of this, and and think about that from the perspective of the viewer, which is Earth. And it's like with Centauri made contact with Earth as well, and there were none of these things. They did give them technology, and it was peaceful, and there was no exploitation like that. We know that Londo kind of tried or not Londo, but the Centauri tried a few tricks, to manipulate things, but it was not strip mining the Earth or something. And so it occurs to me, from an Earth citizen's perspective, they're going to be like, yeah, that Narn story doesn't hold water at all because it's contrary to their experience with the Centauri. And it's like, that was, I don't know if Straczynski really thought about that and said, this is part of a larger thing, but that was a brilliant point within the story for Londo to make, extremely credible, to make that claim. We know it's not true, but no one else does, right? It's like, yeah, why would their experience be different from ours?
Yeah.
And their and the Narn experience was before the Centauri met Earth, because it was about 150 years ago.
But they were an agrarian society too.
Yeah,
as well.
They
were more primitive.
Yeah,
and I know what the comparison they're trying to make.
That would have been my assumption, is that the Narn were actually, a couple things. The Narn were less technologically advanced than the humans at time of meeting, so the Centauri, would have more trouble exploiting, or it would be easier to exploit the Narn because they're lower technology, and maybe there's something about us that makes us more aggressive and difficult to deal with.
We've discovered the bomb, so that's probably part of it. We mastered maybe some of those, because I get the feeling that they're talking about 150 years ago, that They basically were just the equivalent of an aboriginal species.
Well, they're agrarian,
living off the
maybe,
land and maybe farming and stuff like
maybe
that.
a medieval type.
Yeah, something
Or
like
maybe
that.
even early industrial, but still.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong about it in the way it was. It was just in terms of PR within the show, it was a very strong position.
It was
But that also doesn't fit with the Book of Jaquan, though, if you think about it, because the Book of Jaquan does talk about,
well, but that was things that came to Narn, right?
Yeah, it was
outside of them. I mean, they were what you're saying is they were exposed to these other off-worlders.
Yeah, they weren't. This, obviously, 150 years ago when the Centauri showed up, they were not. I'm surprised that they didn't actually try to immediately put a stop to them. Because of that. So
the other thing is, maybe the Centauri learned their lesson from the crap they went through with the Narn.
Maybe,
but there's also the question of when, because we know that the Centauri were they considered themselves to be in decline, not the lion of the galaxy or whatever anymore. So it's like the difference between when they conquered Narn and went to Earth, that decline might have been rather sharp, or maybe the
attrition.
It could have been like their Afghanistan, on Narn. And by that time it was like, well, we're not eager to get into another one of these.
Yeah, the Narn could have been their attempt to halt their decline, and it actually, it fails and it speeds it up, so to speak.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that stuff was all gold. That was really excellent portrayal and giving us good background and information on the current situation.
Right. Yeah. It was nice to. This was a very heavily, like I said, there was a lot of combat in this throughout. It wasn't just like a scene here at the beginning or a scene at the end or somewhere in the middle. It was like throughout you see this conflict as a constant. Which we have not seen anything like where there's nonstop back and forth up to this point that we've directly seen impacting Babylon 5, where we're seeing things like troop movements and this and that and the other, some odd things here and there, but nothing that's a kind of a raging spilling over into this sector type of thing.
Yeah, I think Umbra's gets a good point there. It could be just good old fashioned racism.
Right? Well, that thought crossed my mind too. Yeah, that they kind of look like us, whereas the Narn don't look like us. So
didn't the Centauri try to pass themselves off as related to humanity?
They did.
And it wasn't until they got hold of some genetic materials that they disproved that.
Right.
Well, that and the tentacles.
We've heard that. That initially the Centauri tried to trick humans and say that they were long lost brothers, type of thing.
Yeah.
I believe that's
before it gets,
Earth is a lost colony.
Yeah.
Before it gets lost in the, I kind of want to, go in order a little bit, and so I wanted to note that the part, because it kind of goes back and forth between characters, and one of the things was asking about bad management or whatever, right? From the previous, and they were kind of, I think, pointing to Sinclair, and they referenced Senator Hidoshi, who we've seen, but we didn't see him. It was just a statement by him,
right?
And Sheridan kind of sidesteps that a little bit, it seems, but it's hinting a little bit at where things might be. How Sheridan got into there, and that there was some move against Sinclair, and that for reasons we don't necessarily know yet. But I just wanted to mention that. Although maybe the reporter might not have known anything about that behind the scenes stuff either.
Well, I did find it interesting that they say we've established what in the past 100 or so years since humanity started spreading out into the galaxy, we've managed to establish 24 worlds in 14 solar systems. So
yeah, that's I found that interesting as well, because we've heard about Earth and going out there, but we haven't heard anything about how big of an empire Earth is.
Right. And you notice they were taking shots at Mars there too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did, and and that may have been partially, because of who the show was sponsored by. But I see I got written down here Epsilon Eridani.
Yeah, that's the system where Babylon 5 is.
Right. So, and then of course Mars. Expect the unexpected. That I almost put that as my little sub thing.
Epsilon Eridani is too far away.
Yeah.
Right. Is it the closest to Earth?
No, not close. That's Alpha Centauri is only 4 light years. But Epsilon Eridani is fairly quick. I have to look it up, but it's like within 200 light years or something. I think it's relatively close to us.
If that's mind you, a light year is how long it would take light to get there. So, yeah. But I also found it since you're wanting to go in order, when they were on the CNC, and they're interviewing the poor guy that's there on the ship, and you see Susan standing in the background, kind of watching the interview.
Second Lieutenant Corwin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I almost wrote his name down, but I'm like, yeah, we'll probably never see him again.
We've seen him before. We've seen him on a couple episodes.
Yeah, he was in season 1 and season 2.
I don't remember him from season 1, but
I was keeping an eye out, and I saw him a few times on season.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But
I've seen him turning around in this season, like saying stuff for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen him. But
he actually had some lines, so I don't think I've ever seen anyone get angry on the CNC before.
Yeah.
and then he was just like,
he kind of looks behind it. Yeah.
I was going to say, Cam, did you want to go through each character and talk about what's revealed about their character or whatever because of these interviews? Is that how you wanted to go through it?
Well, I mean, obviously with Londo, we kind of jumped around between them, but that's fine. I mean, we could go by character too. But I just didn't want to lose anything. And I mean, obviously anybody's free to bring up anything they want to talk about. I was just kind of going through some of my notes here.
I like the odds makers that they were putting the odds up at
two different times. Failing.
In 2257 it was what 500 to 1.
Yeah, well, and they also had
Lloyd's of London. Yeah.
Right. Then they also had some other data too. They had like the favorability rating of Babylon 5.
They did, yeah.
A couple of years ago, it was 41%. I'm sorry, it was 30% unfavorable to start with, and then currently it was 41% unfavorable.
Yeah, it had the unfavorability, and maybe that's I've seen that. We've seen that with things like the space program too here, where the highest favorability, of course, was when we went to the moon. And then as the years waned on, people are like, yeah, why are we wasting all these billions of dollars on that stuff, and I think that's kind of the feeling they're trying to push in this is why we're wasting all that, that money on that space station.
Well, we've already got that because, the President Clark isn't interested in, isn't that interested in Babylon 5. He's more focused back on Earth. Taking care of the home front, so to speak. But I kind of looked at that. I was curious what you guys thought about, the Earth government seems a bit, it seems a little bit more autocratic than what we sort of presently experience. So I was looking at the news program as almost like a piece of propaganda in a sense for the government, that the government might have sent them here to do this. Maybe it's not direct, but they might have, pushed them a little bit.
Yes.
This way.
But which way? Which way?
That's the question, because that's what I want to note is, and the initial part of the reporter seems very skeptical, right?
Right.
With what Cam was saying about, it's not very favorable, etc. But at the end of the show, she gives a very, she's changed her mind and gives a positive view of what's going on, right? So I was curious as to what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, and the senator was very
Well, he was like cagey or wishy-washy. Yeah.
Yeah. Waffle. I'm like, oh, well, I guess they've captured the way a politician is.
Yeah. Well, they just on this note, they did mention a bit of Clark propaganda in there. The reporter was like, it was like basically the Clark administration claims that Clark is very popular, kind of thing, and they just presented it, kind of uncritically.
Yeah.
So I think there is a bit of that stuff.
There's a
Well,
little.
who's pushing it?
Yeah, this is a little. It's more of a personal story, but I knew a guy years ago. He worked in media, and he told me the trick that these media guys use all the time. And he said it was a local. There was around where I live. There was a local. They wanted to put in like a new community center, like a pool, that kind of thing, right? And of course, some people are like, oh, that's great, and a lot of other people are like, how much are my taxes going to go up? I don't want that, right? So he said, here's the trick. So they had 3 months to a vote, and they just hit up the newspapers, and what they do is the first there's going to be a referendum on this. The first one is basically you put out in the paper, you have an article, and then you have people writing in, and it's a 50-50 sort of for and against from letters from the people, right? And then the next one is much more positive. There's many more letters of positivity, and then the last one is like way over the top, where everybody's saying this is the greatest thing ever. And he said, yeah, I mean, that's how they do it. They get tons of letters in about it, and who knows how many are for and against. They don't publish that. They pick and choose which letters to publish, and that's how they by the time the vote comes, everybody's like, wow, well, it must be a good thing. Everybody's for it. Well, we
that's
don't
how
know that.
dictatorships work.
That's how our media works. That's the kind of tricks that they pull. And even that, he suggested it was done. He was a part of it, and they were like, they go into the newspaper and said, hey, what do you guys think? And they're like, yeah, this is a great idea. We should have this. So the media was in on it in a sense. They were like, yeah, we know how to. We'll do this and make it look like, yeah, it's overwhelming and everyone will vote for it. And it got passed.
Classic journalism.
Yeah, journalism. I'm doing the air quotes. So I was wondering about, like, I was thinking of that when I was listening to this, to her, and to see her sort of very negative at the beginning, which, you should be critical. As a reporter, they should be critical. They should be skeptical. But then she had moved the other way by the end. And I was, that doesn't seem to fit in with what you think President Clark would want, because we've been told that he's, anti Babylon 5. He's not a big believer in it. So I'm wondering if, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's not a lot of government control, or is the government moving in a different way? The Earth government, I'm not sure.
Maybe some of the conflict is helping his underlying position. That both the Narn and the Centauri are kind of like, and maybe we just need to like leave them alone and kind of back off of them. And
we do know that when the episode with Gropos with Franklin's dad is that the Earth Force was making moves to position themselves in regards to the war, that they were not just saying, well, we'll just let it go. They had their eye on it, at least. What they're doing exactly, we don't know necessarily.
But I see that as kind of that's not really a picking a side. That's just smart diplomacy in the fact that they're getting into position, and when the Earth government decides to do whatever they're going to do, if they're going to intervene in the war, they've got a base to go with. And that's, you see that very typical with the American military. They've got bases everywhere, and if something happens somewhere, you can easily, send troops there, and
well, that's one of the reasons why we have all those forward bases.
Exactly.
I mean, that's true for us, for any of our allies.
For sure. But I find it, I mean, on that cam, remember that Earth does, they do talk to, at one point they talk to Sheridan, and they basically tell him, Earth takes a stand, and they said, no, you're not going to get your transports back. We're going to call your bluff. You're not going to keep them. And if you fire on them, then it's war, and Earth will come on the Narn side. And of course, they don't fire. So,
although they did question Sheridan, the reporter did question Sheridan about if he had the authority to be making these decisions and stuff. So,
well, I liked how they did show Sheridan's thought process. They were basically filming it, and it was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. I have to protect the people on this station, and that's when he was like, weapons free, basically.
yeah,
because the situation was out of control at that point. It was like the diplomacy angle kind of became secondary,
right?
Which is reasonable in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure, and it's a good scene too. And you notice how quickly I'm assuming, very quickly the Narn and the Centauri surrender, and I'm assuming they're just firing at each other from transports with maybe weapons strapped on the side. They're not military fighters, and of course Earth's got its top of the line fighters out coming.
Well, yeah, it showed you
they're way overmatched.
The Star Furies are a very formidable fighter.
Yeah.
Clearly, didn't they get a new regiment, a new shipment of new?
Yeah, they did. They got updated versions. Yep.
You got 3 squadrons now, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Keffer has the newer. He's part of the newer squad,
right?
Okay, and I'm sorry, I don't want to cut anything off that we're talking about, but I did want to just bring in a few other ones. Is when they're interviewing Franklin, he goes off on this weird tangent with like this story of a guy spacing himself, and it's like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? It's like, anybody got any thoughts on that? I guess he was traumatized.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, okay, your buddy spaced himself when you were 17.
Just a reminder to people back home: space is dangerous.
Space is dangerous.
Yeah.
I think it's actually kind of interesting because you would think, in a normal, we don't know what the reporters did, but in a normal reporting, they might have sat down with an hour with Franklin, right?
Mm.
But yet they only used 2 minutes of him talking about how his buddy died. So you're kind of like, why do they pick that?
Why they pick that? Yeah, because the rest of it maybe was talking about the xenobiology.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of looked like henobiology to me, the way they spelled it with the weird font that they used. I'm like, is that henobiology? What is henobiology? And then I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be an X.
I wanted to mention in that, I like putting down little notes of things that don't really matter. But you notice that he made a Looney Tunes reference, with the running off the cliff.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess Straczynski really likes Looney Tunes,
Mm-hmm.
It's the second one that I've noticed, but anyway.
I think there was even more. There was the first, real early, and I think first episode with Garibaldi and Delenn.
Yeah, that's the one I meant.
Well, they watched they watched
Looney Tunes, and then this one. There's probably more, but Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. It's not important, but
who was the distributor of the show originally back then?
Warner Brothers.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. I'll bet you. He's paying homage to the people who are probably provided a lot of the funding. Yeah.
Just one other factoid is at one point they mentioned that 42% of the population of Babylon 5 are aliens, which is to say, I guess the rest would be humans.
Yeah.
So a majority are humans on the station.
Yeah.
And that's neither here nor there. It was just, again, one of these factoids.
I thought that was interesting. I didn't actually think of whether it'd be more or less, but I guess it seems, being close to 50% seems normal. Most of the humans are working on the station, but yet, and it is their station.
You figure it's probably 40. It's probably the vast majority are civilians, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
In one way or another, probably 80% of them or more are civilians, and the other 20% are probably Earth Force.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just thought it was interesting that.
But we did see the doc guy again.
Oh yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice little callback.
Yeah, it was great because I'm like, oh yeah, because he's talking about the because they kind of delve into the whole how it's an important for commerce, and that was one of the important factors, Earth being able to get goods, and have them move safely through, away from Earth You know, not just coming straight into Earth and unloading on, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So in terms of the kind of the order that's going on here, we get to the interview with Delenn because that leads in directly into the next thing. So does anyone? I know I probably talked over some of Dean's original presentation. So Dean, you want to take a shot at the Delenn interview?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. The Delenn interview comes on the heel of her people pretty much beginning to reject her because of her change. And of course, Cynthia draws upon that, gives her an opportunity to talk about the Minbari. And we get a really good insight into the fact their cities are made of crystal, seventh rock around their sun, stuff like that. And Delenn's trying to think of other interesting things to say. And then Cynthia brings it back to, well, you've taken on our appearance. How do you feel? You know, how do you think the veterans of the war feel? You know, you slaughtered. And this is where I began to question some of the numbers. 250,000 deaths came up again for the Earth Minbari War. And I would have thought that would have been in the millions at the very least.
I thought it was low too.
Yeah, it just felt a bit low.
What was the number that they said?
250,000. Yeah.
Well, maybe I assume that means it was probably mostly due to space battles rather than colonies.
Yeah, well, towards the end of the war, they skipped a load of the colonies and went straight for Earth. But even then, military-wise, I mean, you look at one of the Earth destroyers, and I know the Agamemnon was one of the new ones that was produced after the war.
Right.
But you compare it to, say, for example, an aircraft carrier or a cruiser in today's society. I mean, an aircraft carrier has about 4,000 people on board.
Well,
you know, it's huge.
I think more like
6,000 now.
Yeah. This is kind of the average.
When my buddy served, it was 6,000, I think, on his ship.
They're just getting bigger and bigger, aren't they? I know they're pretty much cities on water with their own McDonald's and Burger Kings. Yeah. It's her interview. I really felt sorry, and I think the actress Merla, she plays the role really well. You feel the pain, you feel her anguish. She's trying to find somewhere to go to rescue this interview, or rather I almost felt like she was trying to apologize for what the Minbari did, but couldn't because that was still
breaks down
secret.
crying.
Yeah,
she does.
Yeah.
And she did it really well.
I thought it was well done as well.
Absolutely, but there's and kind of the meta of that is that like you mentioned, Dean, she was rejected by her own people in recent episodes, you know, very starkly. And then it's like, well, what does she change into to be more like humans? And now she's like faced with this, and humans hate you too. I mean, she didn't say that, but it was kind of that, you know, imagine that from Delenn's perspective. She's like, I just
everybody hates
rejected my own people to get closer to these other people that hate me. You know, it's like, that's, you know, and like you said, she played it very well, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I think is that they're actually building into her humanity side of her, impacting her. The fact that she was getting emotional.
Yeah. I'm making the assumption that she's becoming more emotional, partly because she's more human. Maybe there's, you know, hormones and various.
Well, they've already kind of played the whole hormone thing out, and I think
she's not used to it. You know.
Yeah.
Mood swings or whatever.
I think that was her least favorite episode, wasn't it, or something like that? When they talked about, you know, the line where she's talking about, and I'm getting these cramps.
Yeah.
Well, you know, PB mentioned something interesting there. Can you bring that up, Snob? About
this one?
War?
I would have think this would be true based on what.
Yes, but this relates to the fact. Sorry, I'm breaking my own rule here. That. You know, Sheridan has another one of his segments where they're interviewing him about the war, and he's talking about like they lost, right? And which they did, of course. But then the reporter's like, but we didn't lose, they surrendered, and he's like, of course, you know. It's like he forgot himself for a minute there, what he knows versus the public, You know, that which was another interesting result of the way this episode was portrayed. So I thought that was really
Did
good.
we win really? Even if we won
I mean,
officially?
I found that kind of thought. I mean, there must be a significant portion of people on Earth who'd be suspicious of that too. Oh yeah, we won. No, we didn't. I mean, they were about to invade us, and they decided not to and surrendered instead. Like, I still don't think we won. I mean, we got our.
Did anybody win really in that situation? Nobody wins. You know, that type of pointless conflict that started over somebody itchy trigger finger or something like that. And
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know this. What PB says here, we don't know this per se, but this is what I assumed would I don't know but based on what I've been told and what I've learned so far, I assumed it was like this. Like, they mentioned to us that Minbari were outclassed us. They beat us in every space battle. It was
Yeah, we knew that. Sheridan was one of the only significant victories.
Yes, and that was a sneaky
backstabber.
Big sneaky ambush.
Well, they thought it
honorable.
was a reprehensible tactic, right? Is the way they tried it, but actually, it's great tactic.
Yeah, for us, that's what we think is great. We like.
Yeah,
humans do it all the time.
They thought it would be a dishonorable tactic to use or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you're fighting for survival, what do you do?
Yeah, when genocide is on the menu, the rules kind of go by the wayside, or they get broader at least.
What Geneva Convention, or whatever the equivalent is at this point in time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, PB mentions also that the Minbari, the Earth systems couldn't lock onto them.
Yeah, that's mentioned in a earlier episode where they can't track.
The first one of this season. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first one this season. Yeah. It was earlier this season, I thought so.
Yeah, which is quite strange because I think Babylon 5 has the old tracking systems. I don't know whether they've been upgraded yet.
They've been upgraded.
Yeah, they have.
They've now been upgraded, but the Star Furies.
Earlier this season.
The Star Furies I had delivered had the new tracking systems on board.
Yeah, and that's why Sheridan is a little more confident in this episode, and they've been a little they're feeling a little more. Yeah.
So sorry, the Delenn thing. Then she got called to the council meeting then that they were having, which was again very public, and a little wilder than we usually see.
Yeah. Was Kosh there? I didn't notice, but
Kosh was not there.
Yeah,
I did not see him there.
Right. Yeah,
I didn't think I saw him. But,
but Jakar was basically producing his. Wait a minute. Was this after? Did they get a report? I think I'm trying to remember exactly when that happened. Is because Jakar
after the report.
The report of the radioactive
weapons
that there were weapons.
Confirmation that there most likely were WMDs.
Fusion bombs and mass drivers.
They said they said fusion bombs. Something about ion cannons as well.
Yeah, fuel or ammo for ion cannons. And mass drivers.
Mass drivers. You
I don't see how a mass driver would be.
So wait, I don't have we anyway. have we heard of the mass drivers before?
Not yet. I think this is the first time.
So they introduced something new to us.
Mm-hmm.
There's always those little morsels that Cuticast that Madman would point out.
Mm-hmm. Remember those mentions.
Yeah, remember that. Yeah.
But so Londo's kind of getting hit from all sides here because Sheridan's like ripping into him, and then even Delenn, who's sitting there next to him, kind of is like, he like Londo offers some kind of excuse, and Delenn's like, I forget what she said, but it's like, really, like that's not you're stretching it there, buddy. So
Kosh was in the episode, but he wasn't
not at the council.
Right?
No.
Yeah, because that was one of the big things. It was like one of those footages where we get an exclusive. We get to actually get to see what the Vorlons look like. So apparently, people on Earth have not seen what a Vorlon looks like even in their survival suit or their whatever
Encounter suit.
suit.
Yeah.
They did also point out, that they have, some of the physiology, which we've already been privy to from previous episodes about, the Vorlons and, needing special environmental and life support type of thing. So, but it was presented as if this was new information that the people didn't know, so now they do.
Well, they might not. I mean, the public probably doesn't. I mean, the public probably knows nothing about them essentially.
Right. And that was I think that was an excellent way to present, things as if stuff that we're like, oh yeah, we know this already, but yeah, the public probably doesn't because they're just seeing news reports and not getting the full story from things. So,
and this is so at the council meeting. This is where Londo, makes the changes his story. It's like, well, they're not doing it on the station, so you don't have any jurisdiction over them.
Yeah.
And then is this when does a battle break out right there while they're in council?
Okay. While they're
yeah.
It interrupts them.
That's
the lights flicker or go off or something. Everyone's like, "What?"
Oh, that's right. Ivanova calls him to the CNC and says,
"Yeah, he calls." Yeah,
there's a. But yeah. Anyway, so now this is where they've got the hot fight going on, and where we lead into we kind of touched on it a little bit already, where Sheridan orders them the Starfaries are out there patrolling and everything, but not firing initially, and they're ordering them to back off and all this stuff, and they're just ignoring the Narn and the Centauri are just going at each other. Like you said, it didn't seem like they were really dedicated warships, but they were attacking each other.
Yeah, I mean, if they had been warships, I think that Babylon 5 would have been more upset right off the bat.
Yeah,
the battle cruiser shows up, and it's kind of like,
And so Sheridan does give them freedom to fire, and I think that they said that they destroyed 2 Narn ships, and then the Centauri surrendered, and I guess with the rest of the Narn ships.
Yeah.
And then. So then that's when I think they ordered them to be brought aboard the station and searched, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they basically arrest everybody.
Yeah.
Arrest them all, put them in the brig, and then we'll sort it out.
Right. And then chronologically, then this is, I think, where we get the interview with Londo when he talks about, their world and how the Centauri conquered it and all that. And then we get this bit about Jakar's father and his story. Anybody want to talk about that?
Well, I thought they were very, they're very interesting. I mean, the way I looked at this episode is the what was being revealed about either the race or the character, primarily the character, but sometimes backgrounds on the various alien races like the Minbari, their home world, that kind of thing. But I thought it was very interesting about, Jakar. It focused more on his personal background and, how that's what the news decided to present. While Londo is juxtaposed with Londo, and it's all about the Centari on Narn.
Right.
I'm not sure.
All the great things they did for Narn.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the reporter's asking the questions about that, so he's of course going to say,
"Yeah." I mean, and the story basically is Jakar's father was, a servant.
Yeah, he's basically a slave.
He was basically, like what they call a houseman or something like that for a powerful Centauri, and he spilled some hot Jawa. Is it?
Jala.
Some hot Jala on I know that. on the lady of the house, and as a result, he was sentenced to death. And by death they mean you string him up on a tree or something like that
for 3 days. Like that's not really, it's
not
really nice.
Symbolism there, maybe a little bit. I don't know.
And Jakar mentioned that he was barely older than a pouchling, so maybe like what we'd say a preteen or something like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And his mother was too ill for them to. And they mentioned there was an underground So obviously there was an underground before, and of course now there's an underground now that we've learned about previously that they are working with Jakar and the Narns to try and back channel type of thing.
But so Jakar, Jakar went to go see his father as he was dying here, and his father basically said, "Don't do what I did." He's like, "Fight." He told him to fight, essentially. And then Jakar said that night was when he hooked up with the other guys, I guess, and killed his first Centauri.
Right.
So that's a pretty brutal story. I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm 12 years old or whatever, and that's when I started fighting, for my world. So it really brought that into a focus, and at this point he also references the Holocaust. He didn't say the Holocaust, but he was clearly referring to it. And it's not the only time he's done that. And
so you took it as the Holocaust.
Yeah,
I took it as going back to like the Civil War and the trying to abolish slavery. That type of thing. That's the way I read it.
Did he? Maybe I'm wrong.
I think they're both valid. They're both valid. I think comparisons. Again, history doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it does rhyme, and those are definitely rhymes of certain things.
I agree with Jeff. I kind of saw it more as a referencing sort of the slavery,
especially with hearing the underground and
I'm not saying that's what it was, but for sure.
Well, it's not the only. Straczynski references the Holocaust more than once in this show, and so maybe I was just overly eager to hear that, but he's well, you'll see later it gets more into this, but he has very clear references to historical sorts of events and sometimes direct events.
Jakar mentions the words "never again."
There you go.
That's
typically probably
and he said there's those words "never again" that means something for your people and it means something for me. Right. And you're right, there's two themes that run through
that's a Holocaust reference for sure.
Yeah, the first one is about slavery and fighting against being enslaved. The second one that has been present, I think, from the first season onward, and it's why the Narns justified what they were doing against the Centauri, was more about the Holocaust. We will never be enslaved again. Never again.
Well, and even we've used that phrase in modern day after this show came out. Never again was something that was said quite a bit after 9/11.
Yeah.
And I think it may have been pretty prevalent post the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. So
sure, it's not exclusive, although it is.
Yeah.
It is very common though to be a reference to the Holocaust. But that's interesting that you guys took away kind of different, and PB was mentioning something with India. So yeah, but that's a good. That's good. That this has broad, general meaning, not just it's one thing. This is not a story about. It's not an analogy for any one story. It's about a much larger, like I said, the rhyming of history. These things that kind of happen again and again.
And good sci-fi does that,
right?
Yeah.
That's what we're lacking in today's sci-fi.
Yeah, if this was today, they'd be making a specific reference to
some weird thing that nobody. Yeah, it's like what?
Good writing always leaves it open to interpretation, and a really good piece of writing will have three different people having three different views of what's been written.
Right, and our chat and our panel here just demonstrated that. So that's excellent. And again, that's why. I mean, I know these other guys haven't seen the whole show, but yeah, exactly. That's why this show is memorable, is because it really does have that quality. So,
and that's not to say on a second or third watch that I might take, and see it from a different angle too, So
Sure.
that's very.
So then this is, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun again with Lando's response to this, and that I thought was the really great PR position for him, referencing, well, no, we went there and we tried to elevate these primitives, kind of thing. Which again, you hear the word colonizers a lot today, and same sort of thing. And it has happened throughout history, in many places.
Oh yeah.
And many different times. So, again, good reference to history in general, including specific ones. But
because I got the feeling like they were kind of pointing to when us Europeans we came over here. Well, when you guys came over here, it's the same principle, but it happened elsewhere in the world too. I mean, it's not. It's happened all around the world, and by many civilizations over and over again for millennia. So it's the Romans did it.
Yep.
The Romans came to you, Dean.
they did. It's quite interesting because when I was in Cyprus, I love holidaying over there. You get to see the ruins around, and there's like some Greek ruins that became Roman, that then became Christian, and you see how each culture and civilization begins to overwrite the one that came before it.
Right.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to separate you Americans and Brits. Will I?
So, yeah, you're our mediator. So now we get into the story, or the part of the thing where the Centauri battlecruiser shows up, right? And so Lando's now again reasserting himself again here, and basically putting down the demand that no, you will release our ships, you won't search them, etc., and so on, and sends force to back it up. Now it's just one ship, but apparently, in this Babylon 5 is not, even though it's been upgraded, it's not like a huge powerhouse of military power. It's implied several times that a capital ship.
Right?
Well, Babylon 4 was much bigger and much more formidable.
Right.
A capital a capital ship is definitely a challenge and a danger to Babylon 5.
Yeah, and usually capital ships would be cruisers and above, and a battle cruiser is normally a bigger cruiser, more powerful. It's like less than a battleship, but more than a cruiser normally. So I was like, oh, battle cruiser. Ooh. I'm kind of surprised that the Narn cruiser was able to take it. But again, it could have been an older model battle cruiser that they sent versus, there's a lot of quality differences and stuff.
This one, the Centauri, we had seen some Centauri ships, and this one did seem smaller. The other ones were kind of like a cross orientation, and this one was more horizontal, as I recall. It
had two fins on at the back, whereas the bigger Centauri vessels have, I think, one fin at the back. Yeah. But the Narn, they took that battle cruiser by surprise. They came out of hyperspace and they were immediately firing. Yeah,
guns and blazing. Yep.
Yeah. Which I find a bit surprising. There's a little bit of inconsistency here where they talk about when a ship first comes out of hyperspace, its engines, it's a massive power draw, so it can't communicate and stuff like this. But twice now we've seen a hyperspace window open and a ship come out pretty much firing. The Agamemnon, when they were rescuing Sheridan, and this Narn cruiser, pretty much coming straight out of hyperspace and then activating its weapons.
Mm-hmm. And we did see some difference in the weapons as well, right? The Narn cruiser was using beam weapons, and the Centauri, I think, was using some kind of pulse weapon.
Yeah, pulse weapons obviously can be intercepted with interceptors. Beam weapons can't be. And I think this was just a normal Narn cruiser rather than a heavy cruiser. Heavy cruisers have the dual beam weapons at the front, and this one had a more directional beam weapon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a single beam, right?
Yeah.
Welcome, Shadow and Sun. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. Maybe I have.
Oh, I invited him.
Right on. Babylon 5. Whoops. Babylon 5 is pretty good, I gotta say. All right, welcome. Sorry, go ahead, Cam.
So let's see. I'm not sure in terms of the interviews. That's kind of the end of my list. Maybe the Sheridan one came out where he mentioned the whether them losing came after that, but uh, well, obviously all hell breaks loose because with the fight there between the Narn and Centauri, in which uh, Sheridan was trying to get him to wave. He was in the CNC commanding directly at that point. He was, telling them to back off. They had it under control because I think that the Centauri had basically, I'm forgetting. Didn't they capitulate in some way that they had sent the ship through,
and they don't fire on the transport.
Right. So they were like celebrating in CNC, and they're like,
the bluff is called, and they
Right. And then the Narn came in and spoiled it. They didn't know, because that was going on right as they were coming out of hyperspace. But then
they probably wouldn't have cared anyway, to be honest. You're the Narn guy and you're like, go to Babylon 5 and blow up the Centauri. And you're like, yeah.
Maybe. But I mean, if you think, if someone was thinking strategically, it would have been, they just put themselves, the Narn were called out. They essentially, I'm sorry, the Centauri were called out. They were shown to actually be shipping weapons, which is at least bending the rules. And then their strong arm tactic failed. So the Narn could have kind of sat back and taken the victory. And then for they traded ships. And they could probably afford to lose them less than the Centauri at this point. So I think it was, in retrospect, at least a bad move. And then they look bad. They look like co-aggressors as opposed to the good guy.
But my impression of the Narn so far is they're a little bit emotional, a little bit more hot-headed. So from what we see of Jakar and stuff. So I'm not surprised.
Not in the Klingon kind of way, though. They're emotional. They're emotional, because we've seen that from Jakar quite a bit. Yeah. But they're not. They're not. I don't know. And maybe it's from a transition from the first season into the second season where we've seen more of Jakar and him pleading with Sheridan and. And trying to.
But he's still emotional during those things.
Right. No, he's calling. That's what I mean. He's calling. He's obviously. I mean, we saw Jakar cry in the lift there.
Yeah. Well, certainly, if you're going on a color scale of emotion, the Vorlons are the extreme cold, and followed by the Minbari, and then the hotter emotion would certainly be the Narn, right?
Narn
and the Drazi.
Sorry, and the Drazi, yeah. Purple. It's all purple. Always purple.
Yeah, the Narn's kind of
not the green.
Green
bad.
If you want to compare it to Star Trek, they kind of strike me as kind of Romulans, in that they're the opposite.
Oh, the Minbari or
no, the Narn, in that they're more emotional.
They're the emotional counterpart.
Vulcans. They're they're more emotional. The more emotional Vulcans.
Yeah, to me, Klingons, it's more about it's an honored, an honorable death, doing the honorable. Today is a good day to die type of thing.
Very very aggressive.
And the Narns are not like that. The Narns are not.
The Klingons are a warrior culture,
right?
The Narns aren't so much a warrior culture, but they are a bit more emotional and aggressive than we see them like the Minbari or. Even I think the Centauri are probably emotional as well, but they're a little bit more. They hide it better, or they're a more advanced society. They're it would be viewed to be to be emotional would be considered to be uncouth, so they suppress it more.
Well, I'm not sure that you could. I think you're right that the Narn are more generally aggressive and emotional, but I think it might be a societal thing rather than a ethnic thing. You know what I'm saying? Because of their experiences, they've become very aggressive as a culturally, not inherently, I guess, is the way I'd put it.
Yeah, I don't think I have enough information. Like I said, I'm only going at this from the Virgin perspective because I haven't seen anything. I've avoided reading any background on any of the.
Right.
I've tried to.
Me too.
So I read a little bit about the pouchlings. I had to follow that up.
Well, we can't go without talking about Star Trek in a Babylon 5 episode.
Right.
So it's a little.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
little
not
bit
here, so I had to bring it up.
It's a little bit like the Bajorans, is that they were extremely peaceful and cultural, but then they also became,
and they were also very, very religious,
right? But then they became terrorists.
Bajorn is a good thing. A good comparison.
Yeah. Those are too close, man. Like they're almost.
Yeah.
It's almost as though someone had a view of what Straczynski was doing and decided to do a Star Trek thing on the side. Yeah.
Oh no! Come on, that didn't happen.
Where were the Bajorans?
Didn't happen.
Really?
One day we will explore the conspiracies and the claims in full. And
DS9 versus B5.
I mean, come on, even Straczynski says that didn't happen, but maybe that's just
I know.
He wants to work. He wants to work for Paramount at some point, maybe.
Sure.
I think it's just Hollywood. You always get two things that are very similar coming out around about the same time.
Yeah,
and it just happens.
Armageddon and Deep Impact, and
I always reference that one. How come everybody, why are there 3 vampire movies coming out at the same time?
Right.
I don't know. Sometimes I think there is some corporate espionage going on there too.
There might be, and there's probably people that cross over between these companies too all the time. It's a rotating door,
writers and stuff like that, or PP. Because somebody is credited as being a writer, doesn't mean that that's the only person that was involved in writing. That means that's probably the lead person that was the lead writer for that episode, and there was probably even back then, there may have been 3 or 4 people that were working on it that may have bounced around throughout.
Well, I mean, just look at the cast crossover between the two shows.
Oh yeah,
Bester,
Bester. You got to stop right there, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so do we want to talk about the? In the midst of this, they kind of cut to the Psycor commercial.
Oh yeah.
Anybody want to discuss that?
Should we talk about this? Should we talk about the Psycor commercial? I don't know. I love that commercial.
I think propaganda.
We must talk about the Psycor commercial. We must trust the Psycor. They are our friends.
Right.
Yes.
Well, obviously, I don't know why, but I came away with that feeling, so it must be true.
Okay, go ahead. Let me just put. I'll put what Madman sent to us. He sent us He clipped a little bit.
Well, who wants
Psycor is your friend. Trust the core.
Who wants to describe the commercial?
So it's basically the way the commercial starts off is, this kid is sitting there complaining about how he's been getting beat up at school, and they're picking on him every day. And he's talking to his mom, which is the one that you see on the left. And but I knew he hated me for whatever reason or something or other. I could just tell, and kind of a hint that where it's going with that.
It's like the guy. It's like as if Spider-Man showed up. It's like,
I mean, come on, you're not the only one. So I did it too. And let's see.
Jeff's been flashing us the whole time.
I have. Yeah. I don't know if you Snob didn't notice at all, or didn't say.
Oh, I noticed.
Okay.
I just didn't comment on it. That's all.
Yeah, but
interestingly, they didn't. Again, there's okay. So the kid, it's like, oh well, you could join the Psycor, and it's a great thing, and all your expenses will be paid for. And the mom's just like, yes, let me unload this dead weight camera on my family.
But I can carry on with dating strange men without some a single mom anymore.
There's no father. There's no father shown here, right?
You notice that, eh?
And the famous the Corps' mother, the Corps' father thing not mentioned in this
Oh yeah.
And they show the psychop. I mean, the kid's like a psychop, he's so excited to see him. Which I'm not sure, that seemed a little strange that the psychops might not be something that they would put out front. It's like saying our special forces operator who is an expert at sniping. It's kind of
but they're appealing to the young generation. And I don't know about you, but when I was really young, you heard, the talk of people like Delta Force.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, someone from Delta Force. And I think it was playing on that. Yeah.
Well, and in the mid '90s, I could certainly see that. I mean, I remember watching movies like Iron Eagle and stuff like that, and man, that would be cool,
To have one of them teleport into your room, that would be amazing.
but again, I mean, obviously it's a commercial. They're trying to portray it a certain way, but it's an interesting question how your average Earth citizen would be taking this, because it's like, clearly there are some people that don't trust the Psi Corps. And if you put out front the cop, the authoritarian end of the Psi Corps, rather than, oh, look, I'm a nice counselor or something. I mean, they portrayed him very friendly.
Away,
oh yeah,
look at us giving away food.
Yeah.
And we'll you'll never have to pay for anything again. This and that and the other. And, Utopia.
Right, and it was obviously very over the top.
Absolutely.
Isn't there? What does the guy say at one point? He goes, "Oh, doesn't he say we're everywhere?" Like something like that.
Yeah.
We're in
every
in your
school, every neighborhood.
We're everywhere. Oh, great.
Yeah, so
they're not trying to win the hearts and minds of the skeptics, though, with this advert. They're trying to get the youth on board. They're trying to get the young minds to look at them more favorably, and the message that the Corps is your friend. You can trust them.
Okay, but let me give a counterpoint to that. What if you're the bully kid here, and you're like, oh, well, this just reinforces the us versus them thing, right? In the mind of the mundanes, wouldn't it?
It would do, but then you've already got a us versus them dynamic. What they're going for is the more vulnerable minds, the kids that are being bullied, and then trying to convince them to come on board. You get enough of them on board. Yeah.
Reinforcing the us. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's fair enough.
I think what is interesting is, what was Straczynski? Was he trying to say something about the show, or just something in general? I think he was just trying to put in something a little bit humorous. Because it would be the totalitarian aspect, because the audience at this point should be very suspicious of Psi Corps and not trust Psi Corps at all, and and know that it is not your friend, right?
Well, and also, this was probably the only mention of Psi Corps in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Was during this commercial, and we've speculated now several mini episodes that Psi Corps might be doing various things, trying to pull strings to get different factions to against one another. And just we've got a number of theories.
Yeah.
Those of us who haven't seen the show.
I'm going to disagree with Snob here. I think, again, following with the
let me just mute you there.
Following with the presentation of this episode, this is showing us the view of the normie, right? We're looking at this from the perspective of the normie, and I think it would be indicating that this commercial would not be unusual to them, right? This would be like, oh, here's something that I'm accepting. This is doesn't cause suspicion, in that state of society.
Exactly.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that, of course, in Psi Corps, you don't see your parents anymore, right? You go off.
And they did not allude to that at all, did they? Because it's like, everything's great, Mom. Now I'm doing great, and
it's only 2 weeks later, I think, though, they said something like that, right?
Yeah, but I think they're gone. They take them and they go.
Oh no, but I mean, in the commercial, it's like 2 weeks later, and little Johnny's hair is all nice, slicked back.
Well, he's already got his uniform too.
Yeah. Putting a spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to.
You'll never see your kid again. They don't want to say that.
No.
I wanted to highlight this comment by Vicky, because it reminds me a little bit of if you remember the the miniseries.
Yeah.
from
Mhm.
the 80s.
Which one?
And
The original.
the original,
The
of course.
original.
Of course. And in
Yeah.
that there is, there is a kid who joins, he's a teenager and he joins the visitors.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
he
yeah.
gets the fancy uniform and
He gets a gun.
gets a gun eventually.
Well, and notice the kid, he was an outcast, right? Remember in that?
Mm.
Yep.
And
It's
and so is
that's
this
who you go
guy
for, right?
and the slick, he gets a fancy uniform, is all nice, gets respect, fear.
Yeah.
So I'm
Six
wondering
of one,
if
half a
there's some
dozen of the other.
parallels between that, or just if that was purposeful or just whatever.
Well, again, it's one of these. This is real, right? The inspiration for this is real. This is the kind of thing that happens in the real world. I mean, if you want to be very broad with that, people have criticized the Scouts, for being, it's like, oh, it's paramilitary, it's indoctrinating children and to be militaristic and things. I mean, I don't agree with that, but
The Soviets would point to that
it didn't used to indoctrinate kids.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I don't mean to get into that whole thing, but this is a classic criticism of scouting, was that it was
it was equivalent,
indoctrinating them to.
Yeah, the Soviets would say that it's the equivalent of the young pioneers, teaching them Americans to be militarized and stuff in order to get them ready for the fight.
But this does happen in one form or another, with sometimes good intentions, sometimes bad, throughout history, and so it referencing that is, again, Straczynski's pat. He does this a lot, which is good.
I don't think it's very clear exactly what he's putting it in there. I think there's a little bit of humor and stuff. But
well, it was a little tongue in cheek, because to us, the audience, it's crazy over the top, right?
Yeah, it's obviously over the top.
Yeah,
but so were commercials at that time too. I mean,
So I'm not acknowledging it, but there's a raging discussion in the chat about violence and whether it's emotionally controlled or not, or how much it is, that kind of stuff.
That's what we like. Our
that's
chat
great.
is
That's awesome. It's not really. It's an interesting question. I like that question too. Not very Babylon 5 so much, but yeah, go for it.
Well, there was some certain bad guys in World War II that, what did they try to do? The youth. There were some other guys over in this giant country further east of there, that also started off with the youth. So the youth is always that's the way to get it, and if you can get the youth, but also they're also specifically looking for these particular kids with this latent ability that's probably waking up. So.
Well,
I think
authoritarianism
is very correct here. The Cyber Corps combination of the Gestapo and the Stasi. I mean, very much so. And I think it's purposely looking to do that.
Oh, when you see Bester, yeah. I mean, yeah.
One thing we know from history: the snappier the outfit, the evil, or the more evil the regime.
Have you ever driven through New Mexico?
No.
Look at the uniforms of the New Mexico State Police. It's eerie.
Well, New Mexico is the eerie part of the country. I hear. I've not been there, but I hear it gives people a strange feeling to be in certain places there. So there's something going on in New Mexico, but we'll leave that for another discussion, perhaps.
But they got nice shiny boots.
Oh, there you go.
Come way up there, So.
All right,
and I'm talking about people driving cars, not motorcycles.
Are we good with Psychor?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this off.
Okay, so yeah, we had a fun tangent there, but an important one. Okay, so that's about all I had on my list. We got anything else here?
There's something I wanted to mention that I noticed, which is it's kind of minor, but it's the only. Well, you know what? I'll see if do you guys have anything, Jeff or Dean?
I mean,
we wanted to talk about.
We've covered most of my list, I think, already. Dean?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. Yeah.
This is okay. So I'll go. This is my last one. This is kind of a minor point, but I thought it was interesting. Near the beginning of the episode, you've got them interviewing Sheridan, and she starts asking about the Agamemnon, and just the way that he describes it, and the sort of the look in his eye, I would say it's kind of wistful, or he kind of still misses it. Oh, remember when I was, flying around space? And I was curious as to what you guys thought of that. If that was, that was just me, or what are they saying with that?
Well, I think he had fond memories of it. And he did point out, look, I've been stationed many places, more places than I can remember. But that was,
that's
one of the highlights of his career. And now
that's-
he's on Babylon 5, and I think he's trying to cope with this. Is probably a bigger accomplishment than he ever would have done with the Phenomenon ship.
Well,
for sure.
I think
that's that thing about, oh yeah, I've been in many places, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's what you say when you're just trying to. No, these other places suck compared to this was the best place that I was stationed.
Yeah.
I think the Agamemnon might have been his first command. And it's certainly his biggest command because it was one of the, he mentioned it's, one of the new line of ships after the war. So I think
I think he was the way he was talking, it was a moment of pride in his life. And I think this was his reward for what he did in the war. One of the first new battle cruisers that came out the line, he was given command of. Yeah. And can you imagine at the time, that probably big fanfare on Earth, lots of media coverage. Oh, yeah. They've just come through this terrible war. They've won.
It was a destroyer.
The war. But... Yeah, that's a destroyer. And he gets command of one of the first new destroyers as a result of that.
Yeah.
So you can see it's. I love the actor. I love Bruce's acting, and you can see the pride in his eyes recalling that.
I'm starting to appreciate it more as the show goes on.
But he also,
and I really got that wistful look from him, like he's like remembering, and he's going, "Yeah, that was such a great time. A lot better than now with all these aliens, and I'm always arguing, and it's stupid."
But see, he made that connection between the two for the because he's like, it wasn't just a warship, it was also a diplomatic type ship, and they kind of went out, and he kind of made the connection with the stuff that he did on that ship.
Yeah, he said it was like half, military and half keeping the peace or something.
Right.
Yeah. Talking with some of these smaller alien.
Trying to get some of these non-aligned worlds and whatnot. And so he kind of made that connection to the stuff I did there. Now I get to further the fruition of that, because he was basically making first contact with people. Not to get all Star Trek-y again, but and then once he's kind of had done that, then they're on to the next port of call, so to speak, and but now he's getting to see the fruits of that, and kind of push it further along the lines of establishing good relations with these other races, from across the galaxy.
So is that true, PB? I mean, I assume that the destroyers were destroyers. I mean, I'm not that far into the show. I haven't, looked at any background. But I mean, the destroyer is not. Yeah, a battleship is. A destroyer is kind of the workhorse of the Navy. It can be sort of do anything.
It's an Omega class destroyer is the actual designation. Which but yeah, you're right.
It is a battleship.
I mean, it's really like a hybrid battleship carrier.
That's not, within the Navy, that destroyers are like, they're the workhorses. They're smaller ships. They're used to, like PB says, they're used to screen. They can be sent on their own to places, but they're kind of small. And I assumed it was like when he said destroyer, I assumed it was a normal destroyer. But I guess if it's actually a battleship, then that is a big deal for him to get something that is, if the destroyer is really sort of
it's their top of the line class.
Ship. Well, I mean, you can have a top of the line. You can still have a top of the line destroyer come out and still not be like, it could be just the best destroyer or a new version of the destroyers that come out, and it still would be prestigious to be on a top of the line ship, the first ship that came out, even if it's not as big as or powerful as other ships. So
okay. Straczynski's not great with
I guess not. That's what I'm
Military.
learning.
He mixes a lot
I
of the
wasn't aware of
military
that.
stuff up. Yeah. You lie.
I
Yeah,
was
but
not aware. I was assuming that a destroyer was actually a destroyer. But
no, it's in this.
I'm
This
wrong.
is like their highest level ship. Meaning it's their biggest capital ship at this
Right.
point.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the first ones to also have a fixed beam weapon on board, something they learned off the Minbari. So it's got a massive forward-firing array, and then a fighter escort and screen, and then a lot of point defenses on it. So it's a very multi-purpose, but an incredibly powerful
so it's actually
battleship's probably a better
it's actually a
description of it.
battleship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
The only thing
also-
you're missing there, PB, is frigate. Just kind of a weird.
It also
a weird
had
mix.
What about the subs?
Subs are not in the same classes as these are.
this class of ship also has it's rotating, but the artificial gravity
Artificial gravity, yeah.
due to the rotation, whereas a lot of the other ones didn't.
No.
Because Earth does not have that artificial gravity technology.
No.
All right, so he screwed it up. He didn't know. All right, I'll have to keep that in mind that a destroyer is a battleship.
Yeah. So you can imagine now that the prestige Sheridan had. Of
so that it's
commanding
much
one of
bigger
the first.
prestige than I.
Oh
I
yeah,
said,
it
it could
would
still be big prestige.
Well, and think about it.
yeah.
There aren't that many war heroes. That most of them were killed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
yes, to boost morale, there probably would have been a massive media event about this. He would have been rolled out as the big hero of Earth and given command.
So, sure.
And we do know that he has a reputation that's kind of known in the military of being, I was going to say loyalist, but I guess, kind of a rah-rah, a team player, a military stalwart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he would have been the big hero. He's the only guy who won a battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So even if it was sneaky, I mean, that doesn't matter to humans.
No.
Right.
All right. So he's wistfully, remember my first command? I mean, you can see how he would like it. He had a ship. It's all military people. He could tell them what to do. He didn't have to deal with all these civilians. This B5 is a much bigger job, but it's not. Sometimes when you go up in rank, it's not really. You look back and it's in the army a lot. People are like, when I was a company commander, that was the best time ever.
Well, again, Star Trek. This is mentioned on Star Trek a number of times too. Kirk, didn't want to be an admiral. He wanted to go back to being a starship captain. And of course, the Enterprise was his baby. Picard mentioned this in the one where Scotty showed up in the episode Relics, where he's like, he was talking about the Stargazer, how it's like this underpowered piece of crap, but it's like there was nothing like it though. And the same thing, Scotty shared his story. It's like, the first ship I was the chief engineer on, was the Enterprise. It's your, your
first love, so to
core.
speak.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, why wouldn't Kirk want to be? I mean, he's getting having sex with the green chicks. He's doing whatever he wants. Nobody's around. We're way off in space. Nobody can tell him what to do. Admiral, I'm sitting in an office. They're like, hey, you can't bring those girls in here. What?
Wait, what are you talking about? They come to you at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I thought dreadnoughts are usually more powerful than a battleship, but yeah.
It depends what universe you're in. If you're talking Star Wars, the dreadnoughts and Star Wars were the biggest ships you've got.
And to be honest, if you look at the navies, I'm not a Navy guy, but even here, it depends on the Navy how different navies have. We consider this to be a small destroyer, but we call it a frigate, but we call this whatever. So there is some differences amongst. Yeah. Anyway, okay, great. Is there anything that we want to talk about before we're getting near? Getting near 2 hours. Let's go. If we're all done, I think we've covered everything. I've got everything that I wanted to get covered.
The only last thing that was said was when Sheridan was wrapping things up, and he was talking about the job of Babylon 5 is not to keep the peace; it's to create the peace. So to create the place for peace to happen, And I thought that was I think that's kind of what they ended on, isn't it? I think it was kind of the last thing before the credits rolled. So
almost, yeah.
So it's not doing a great job considering there's a big,
yeah,
war going on.
Well, hey, But anyway,
Dean, do you want to go first?
Yep.
Your final thoughts on the episode?
I thought it was a fantastic episode. Brings the Narn Centari war to the front, which will continue going into the next episodes. A very interesting point how at the start there was this kind of, is Babylon 5 really there? I think Cynthia, the reporter, says a phrase, growth only comes through pain and struggle towards the end or at the end. And that's kind of the change of heart from the newsreel. Her 1 minute being against it, next minute, there's fighting, there's all this struggle, there's all this conflict, and then being in favor of Babylon 5. And I wonder whether that's a running theme going forward. As episodes go, though, lots of character development. You get to really see the political machines, not just on the Centauri side, but on Earth, and you get to see the Narns floundering and really going on the defensive at this point. Excellent episode. I'd give it easily a 9 out of 10.
Whoa, strong.
Wow.
Strong.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
All right. Jeff.
I think I was going to give it probably about an 8.5. I thought it was really good. I loved the fact that we actually now finally are seeing an episode that's got this constant conflict weaved throughout the whole episode. And we learned more about the Minbari. We learned some background on Jakar that we had not previously learned. We knew his family and his people had suffered, but we didn't know specifically about what happened to his father. Madman's with me there. 8.5, I think. There's a couple of things in there where I think that it could have been maybe done a little bit better, but and I loved the whole subliminal thing. Obviously a couple of us did because we threw it in there. I had it on my side too. A couple of things. So, definitely, this was an excellent episode. I think things are starting to ramp up. I'm really looking forward to see what's going to happen as we work towards the end of the season because we're getting close. I think what did somebody say? We were like 7 left or so.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely. And I think I'm eager to see how things proceed and things still come to a head. We didn't see Psychor other than the little commercial in the middle, but I think that was to kind of remind us that they're still there and they're really everywhere anyways. So, but yeah, that's 8.5 I think is what I'm going to go with.
Cam.
I think it was a good choice to give us this different perspective that I talked about, kind of from the, the view of the public of Earth, and how they might be seeing the situation in the world, or the galaxy. I thought it had a lot of excellent bits. I thought Londo, which is not unusual, but again, a standout in his portrayal and the performance is excellent. Also good with Jakar and in his bits. They didn't seem extensive, but his background, again, I love seeing those things established. And then, the bits we saw, we didn't talk about Garibaldi at all, did we?
We did not. We kind of glossed over.
He didn't have much to do.
Well, no. he did have, he was interviewed and it was kind of brief. And he was just kind of like, kind of just party line. Yeah, this is a good thing, so, which was fine. He's like we say, he's the blue collar guy. He's not the big picture guy necessarily in terms of diplomacy and everything. So I thought that was appropriate, but he did have, his little bit of a moment there. but again, I thought it was a strong episode. A lot of good content. I'd say about an 8.5 as well. I didn't love, again, the stuff with the reporter and can easily get too cutesy, and I have a high dislike of that. So I didn't love that. But then again, kind of giving a send up to the media is appropriate.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it worked. But it's a fine line for me. But very good episode overall.
Snob.
Yeah. So as I said at the beginning, I came into this episode when I first saw what was happening. I came in, very skeptical. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a gimmick. It's not going to be that great an episode. But I was pleasantly surprised. It was really well done, and it actually did a great job of showing us, the things I like about the show is seeing the character developments and, deeper into the characters and also into the lore of the various species and characters, what the backstory or whatever. And we got that from just about, everybody. So I was pretty impressed with how they did it, and it fit together well. I thought the woman who portrayed the reporter did a good job. It all fit together, and it helped show us the where the war is going, which was a thing. I'm like, all right, what's going on with this war? How come we're not mentioning it? It's supposed to be this big war. But I especially say that I would agree. Two of my favorite characters, of course, are Jakar and Londo. They had a great, stuff they were doing there. And I also say I was also impressed with we saw that small episode with Delin and, her reaction to the questions. Very well done by Mira. And also I would say that, Sheridan impressed me a little bit. And with the stuff on when he was talking about the Agamemnon, that really stuck with me. That was really well done. He really gave across the idea that is like, that wistful first love, first command, and that he kind of missed it. And he didn't even, you could kind of see the reporter. In my mind, I see the reporter asking those questions going, oh, he really prefers, he likes that other thing. I wonder if, maybe I can get him to say something, about Babylon 5 or maybe I could dig into there a little bit. Like you couldn't see the reporters thinking that. It's because it was pretty obvious. Wow, he really liked that old thing. He talks about that like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Shouldn't he be more like about this one? Oh, well, right. So I thought it was well done that way. You can see that happening. If I had to give it a number, I think you guys are a little high. I mean, I'd be like, the 7.5 area. Okay. It was a good episode. I don't know. Maybe I have to think about it a little more and let it settle a bit. But maybe I'm underrepresenting a little bit. But it was, like I said, it was good. But I didn't think that. Well, I mean, I haven't seen all the episodes.
It was better than I expected.
Yeah, better than I expected, definitely. But like the next episode is pretty has been wildly, pushed, and I'm sure we're gonna get more on what's going on, with the world and the thing. So I might start to see those ones a little bit more, interesting, or rate them a little higher. But yeah, it's for me about a 7.5. It was good, better than I thought. Good solid episode. Yeah.
I mean, that, if you average it all, that's, Cam and I giving it an 8.5, and I think we're coming in right around an 8.25, 8, on average between all four of us. So yeah, we're kind of all on target in the same. That doesn't happen often.
So good discussion in the chat going on about naval tactics and stuff like that. Yeah. So, okay. What did we miss? Nothing. We have trivia questions.
Yeah, we do.
All right, let's do the trivia questions.
Bring
I'm
them
going
up.
to close. I'm going to take the chat off the screen, and we will go to our trivia questions for this week. Okay, I got the right answers. All right. And we might have answered some of them. So, for the episode, what was the most important rule of survival on Babylon 5? How many humans were killed during the Earth-Minbari War? I think we mentioned that. What's the name of the kid in the Psycore advertisement? I got to put one in there that's always very, very difficult.
Oh man,
You probably don't know that one, or you might have to watch it.
Nope,
get that.
didn't write it down.
How many planets is Mimbar from their own sun? So,
Got that
for
one.
example, that is, we are the third rock from the sun. So, what is the Mimbar? What rock is it from its sun? And how did Jakar's father die? Which I think we mentioned. But yeah, all right. Okay. Dean, what do you got going on? Anything you want to mention?
Well, I'm working very hard on a roleplay system called Untold Destiny. So I've got some links. Shall I pop them in private chat?
Put them in the chat and I'll post them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put them in the private chat. Jeff can post stuff.
There we go. So I do YouTube videos on our channel talking about tabletop in general. So I call them my love letters. So talking about THACO and skills and attributes and stuff like that. And we have a load of shorts talking about our weapons system in Untold Destiny and how it's more than just flavor. Each weapon has a purpose and has a function within the battlefield. So yeah, pop across, follow me on X, follow us on X, and follow us on YouTube. End of this year, we've got a complimentary adventure coming out for you to actually try the system.
Right on.
Cool.
There's Madman's Madman Cafe on his Q2. He's been doing it at 6 p.m. Eastern. Lately, he's been talking about stuff. So yeah, you can check him out. Yeah, go ahead. Jeff.
Already did it.
You don't have anything to mention?
Oh no, okay. I thought you said go ahead and put it in there.
No.
I dropped the link. I think we might be coming on tomorrow. A couple of us, maybe one of us. I don't know if Cam's going to be on there or not, but
what, on Madman's channel? Is that
yeah, I think I might be able to join there. We'll see. So that's kind of interesting. We always have some interesting discussions on there. It's great being on there when I have the opportunity. So check out Madman's channel. Let's see, what else do I have going on? I've been working on actually some in real life play type stuff. So we'll see if I get to have another game. Had a session 0 last Saturday. We'll see if we get to actually have a session 1 this Saturday or next Saturday. That'll be good. I did do still have a video on my Ham Radio Rejects channel. I have not put up anything since, but who knows? And I don't know when Jason said he was going to be in. I know he had kind of a hit and miss this week. So
I think he's going to be on either tomorrow or Friday, but not both.
Right. Okay. So yeah, check out Sci-Fi for Me TV as well. That's pretty much it for me. That all I can think of right now. But we definitely make sure that you do like, subscribe, and share. Let some other folks know. I was glad to see Shadow and Son in here this evening. I know he was doing a game earlier, so he probably didn't catch the first hour or so of our little chat. But at any rate, have fun, guys, and keep it real.
All right, Cam.
Well, next week on this show, same time, same channel, we have episode 16 of season 2, In the Shadow of Zahadum. So things are going to get spicy real quick with this episode and running through the end of the season, and then through the 3rd season and the 4th season. It's all gas, no breaks coming up here pretty quick. So that'll be good. And then on Sunday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, we have Top Lofty Lounge, in which we are going to be discussing Space King Episode 3, as Weatherman was kind enough to remind us of, as well as some other miscellaneous topics. So,
praise be to Space King. Yeah. So, just so that you know, the episode for Space King 3 is supposed to be out on the 27th of September, which is Saturday.
2 days, 3 days, 2.5 days.
And then, so we talk about it the next day on Sunday. So I guess we got PB involved now. He's a lover of Space King. I mean, praise be to Space King, right? Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. We got the episode also. Cam's going to do a tool time. So we're
Tool
gonna have
time.
that.
Oh, that's right. You guys skipped it last time.
Yeah, I was blanked. I got screwed over.
Well, that's
So
my
we're gonna
favorite
do
part
it.
of the show.
You know, we don't try not to do it on movie night. I mean, but anyway, there will be a tool time. Just
What are you talking about? The movie sucked so bad.
I already have Dragonheart
don't
ready.
think-
I bought
I
that
thought it
with
was an okay-
Dragon Slayer.
I thought it was an okay movie.
I like
It
Dragon
wasn't-
Slayer.
Yeah,
wasn't
it was
that
okay.
bad.
It was okay. It
It was just
you
a little bit.
know, a little meh. A little
little
meh.
meh.
There was stuff cut out of it. But whatever.
So
Either
yeah,
way.
so we'll talk about that, and yeah, it should be a good show. Yeah, we got to find. I mean, I don't know how much we'll talk about Space King, but depends on the episode, I guess. We might be able to fill the whole episode with that. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, all right. Where has Space King been all my life? We keep telling you, yeah, watch the show, find out about these cool things. That where has it been? I mean, it's only been out since January, so you haven't missed. It hasn't been that long far. But anyway, yeah. All right. That's it for the show. I guess we've covered everything. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate you. We got 11 watching still. I think we hit a max of 17 or something, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go bash yourself a little bit with the hate mace.
Hey,
right
Cubs are in the wild card.
Right on. All right. Good night, everyone. See you next show.
We'll see you guys. Have a good one.
Good night.